Wretched, meddling insects. Release me, and perhaps I will grant you a merciful death.
What's up guys, Ame here with another video. In this one, we're diving into the depths of Hellfire Citadel to tackle the former Lord of Outlands himself, Magtheridon. Let's get into it.
I am unleashed!
Before fighting this thick pit lord, you will have to take out the trash with 4 packs of 3 Hellfire Warders. One of the overarching themes of this whole raid is can you interrupt abilities, and that's taught right out of the gate with Shadow Bolt Volley. This deals significant shadow damage to everyone in the raid, but it can and has to be interrupted, so make sure you assign interrupts on each of the 3 warders on every pull. Along with Shadow Bolt Volley, they will cast Rain of Fire. Just make sure you move out of this if it is cast on top of you, as it does fairly heavy damage. The last of the AoE spells is Shadow Burst. This does AoE damage in a short radius, knocks all nearby players back, and drops threat. So the tanks need to be ready to taunt these guys back to them when this goes off. Unstable Affliction will be periodically applied to raid members. It only does 1800 damage over 18 seconds, but the kicker is that if it's dispelled, it does 300 damage to the dispeller and silences them for 5 seconds. So healers, just be aware of what you're dispelling so you don't get hit with that 5-second silence. Lastly, they'll be periodically casting Shadow Word Pain and Death Coil, nothing super serious there. Moving into Magtheridon's room, there are 5 Hellfire Channelers surrounding Magtheridon, channeling beams that are keeping him imprisoned. Walking into the room will not trigger the encounter, attacking the Channelers will, so just make sure that nobody attacks them until you're ready to go. The Channelers have 5 abilities, and this is where the interrupters in your raid need to step up to the plate. Shadow Bolt Volley is an AoE ability that does significant damage to any raid members in a 30-yard range, and Dark Mending is a heal that heals a fellow Channeler for 1/8 of their health. Now I can't stress this enough, this fight hinges on your ability to interrupt these abilities. You will not make it to the Magtheridon phase if you let the Shadow Bolt Volleys and Dark Mendings go out, so make sure you have assignments for interrupts and backup assignments for interrupting. Also make sure you're applying things like Curse of Tongues and Mind Numbing Poison to increase the casting time of these channelers so it's easier to get the interrupts out. Warlocks are probably the most important class to bring to this fight, and that is because these channelers will be dropping big ol' infernals on the raid periodically. These things absolutely slap and will go straight for your healers due to healing aggro, so the Warlocks need to be fast on getting them banished. If you happen to not have enough Warlocks in the raid, you can have an off tank sit in the raid to pick these up when they're summoned. Lastly, the Channelers will cast a Fear, so keep those Fear wards up and those Tremor totems down. Once a Channeler dies, that's not the end of the problems they'll be giving you. In a final Blood Brother type of act, they will transfer their soul to all remaining Channelers, increasing casting speed and damage by 30%. So the last Channeler standing is going to be one beefy boy after taking 4 stacks of this. Magtheridon has a standard cleave, so only the tank should be standing in front of him, and then he'll cast Conflagration, which puts fire on a random part of the floor, so just don't stand in the fire. The 2 main abilities are Quake and Blast Nova. Quake is a raid-wide knockback that knocks you back every second for 7 seconds, dealing damage and interrupting spellcasts. Next is the infamous Blast Nova, the most important mechanic and the make or break of this fight. Blast Nova does about 2,500 damage every 2 seconds for 10 seconds, so enough damage to kill most people in just a couple of ticks. The only way to stop this Blast Nova is to do your best Hellfire Channeler impression and use the Manacron cubes around the room that the Channelers were using to imprison Magtheridon to stop the cast. In order to stop the Blast Nova, 5 members of your raid need to all click a cube right when Blast Nova is about to be cast. This will temporarily imprison Mag and keep him from casting the Nova. Now you can't have the same 5 people click the cubes every time, because once done channeling, you'll get the Mind Exhaustion debuff, which makes it so that you can't channel the ability again until it falls off. What you'll want to do before the fight is set up 4 groups of 5 clickers, with each of the 5 clickers knowing exactly which cube they are going to click and at what time. It's also beneficial to set up a group of backup clickers that can click their assigned cube at a moment's notice in case something goes wrong with the groups or another clicker dies or anything like that. Now that we know the abilities, let's walk through the fight. Move into the room with the ranged DPS and healers in the middle of the room and your tanks at their assigned channelers. You'll want 3 to 5 tanks for this encounter depending on how geared you are or how comfortable with the fight your group is. You can have 2 tanks pick up 2 mobs at once, or you can send 1 tank to each channeler. Hunters, make sure to use Misdirect here to help the tanks pick up the channelers. For the healers, make sure you have healing assignments set up beforehand to keep those tanks alive. Once a channeler is attacked and the encounter starts, you have 2 minutes before Magtheridon becomes active to kill as many channelers as you can, ideally all of them. Each channeler should be marked with a raid icon, and the DPS will go in the assigned kill order, killing each channeler one by one as fast as they can. Whenever those shadow bolt volleys or dark mendings are being cast, make sure you're kicking them and interrupting whoever you're assigned to. Even the resto shamans can get in on the interrupts to help with rank 1 Urshocks. When the infernals come down, warlocks just make sure you're fast on the banishes. Once a tank is done tanking their original assignment, they can go relieve one of the other tanks of a channeler if they're tanking multiple. 2 minutes after the first channeler is attacked, Magtheridon will become active. Have your main tank pick him up and pull him to the opposite wall of the main entrance, with the tank's back to the wall. This is so that when a quake is cast, the main tank isn't knocked away from the boss and can keep his positioning. The raid will spread out, with the first group of cube clickers ready to go for the first blast nova. A raid warning will be shown right in the middle of your screen that says Magtheridon begins to cast blast nova. This is your sign to click the cube. Don't click it before, don't click it after. Right when that warning goes up, click the cube. While channeling the beam, each clicker will be taking about 800 damage every tick. But while Magtheridon is under the effect of all 5 purple beams at the same time, he will take 300% increased damage. So hold those beams as long as you can and get the healers to top you off to increase the duration of this burn phase. Now, most importantly, when clicking a cube, do not move, don't double click. Hunters, click off the boss so that you don't accidentally auto shoot him while clicking it. Just click the cube once and stand there while the purple beam is being cast. If you do happen to move or double click or any of these things, the channel will cancel and mind exhaustion will be placed on you. So you can't start the channel again and will lead to a wipe in most cases. Note that Quake and Blast Nova can end up happening one after the other, so if you're a cube clicker and you're up next, stand with your back toward the wall behind the cube you're meant to click. This keeps you from getting knocked all the way away from your cube and not being there in time when Blast Nova goes off. The cube clicking is the single most important part of this fight, so get your clicking practice in to avoid those Blast Novas. At 30% health, phase 3 will start. Magtheridon will shatter the walls of his lair, causing the roof to crash down. This does significant damage to the raid and stuns everyone for 2 seconds. Healers just need to be ready to heal up the raid once this happens. Lastly, throughout phase 3, on top of the fire on the ground, the roof will collapse periodically. Avoid these roof cave-ins because they will just kill you. Also note that during phase 3, all the previous abilities will still be in play, so make sure you're ready to keep clicking those cubes in your rotation. Since the location of roof collapses are determined by targeting a raid member and it happening on top of them, make sure you aren't standing on a cube platform, because if the roof caves in on that platform, it could lead to a wipe from blocking the clicker from accessing the cube. And that's about it. Rinse and repeat till the boss is dead. There you have it, guys. Follow these steps and you'll be looting this big, thick, chonky boy in no time. If you liked this video, guys, or found it helpful, show your appreciation by hitting that subscribe button. It helps the channel out a lot and I do greatly appreciate it. I'm also live on Twitch every night over on twitch.tv/AmeTV. Catch the link below for a full schedule and come say hi sometime. That's it for me today though, guys. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you on the next one.